You know what also doesn't? You know what else also doesn't sound fine? The idea of a $70 video game with bad netcode. The idea of a $70 video game, $70 fighting game with lackluster online. I don't know what it is about Bandai Namco, but they always just give us some of the coolest games ever when it comes to actual gameplay and offline fun and even casual modes, right? Like feature rich. But then, on the other hand, they give us really bad online. I want to talk about Tekken 8 in like the most honest way possible because I feel like a lot of people are still kind of honeymooned. They don't want to say anything negative. I recently watched Eris have a little blow up on stream, and it made me be like, yeah, I think it's time. Online, we'll get to that. Casual features, we'll get to that. The game feel. This is the part I can talk about like in the highest regard, which unfortunately means that you guys might know the direction of this review, talk segment, whatever you want to call it. The game feel. Actually pressing buttons, small side steps for like picking up off low parry combos, off like juggles and awkward angles, wall splat combos, the heat system, all of that feels so good. At the low level, let's keep it at the low level. When it comes to just pressing buttons and mashing around in Tekken, it feels perfect. It feels so much better than it did in 7. It feels so much better than it did in Tag 2. This feels like the perfect casual game. Legitimately, I don't have any like casually when I just go in and I'm playing casual match and I know the person I'm playing against has no clue what they're doing, and I have no clue what they're doing, and they have no clue what I'm doing, and we're just swinging against each other, just trying to do the most violent shit ever. The game is so much fun. It's not even a Brain Man's game yet, right? Where I'm at, I'm currently in red ranks. Whenever I play casual match, I think people who made it to red off the skin of their ass and don't want to lose their rank just playing quick match now or something. It feels rewarding to press buttons, and it feels like you were meant to pressure your opponent. This is a Tekken game where it feels like the pressure was designed in a way where it wants you to just keep going. It wants you to keep that offense going in any way you can, right? Not like the buttons are too plus or the offense is too overwhelming. Just like you have to worry about a lot of things, right? If you press the wrong button, you can get counter hit thrown, or you can get power crushed, or you can get low crushed, or you can get heat activated on. Like all of these things swirl through your mind, even on a casual level. Like you're pressing all the buttons and you're thinking to yourself, like, when's the heat activation coming? When's the rage art coming? Is he gonna power crush? Is there a counter hit throw coming? Is there like a tech crouch button coming that's gonna like ruin all my high setups? All of those things culminate together to make this like really nice, friendly brew of like mashing in the most respectful way possible. If Harada and Michael Murray and the Tekken team were trying to make the most fun mashers game for low level Tekken, they fucking succeeded. It's great at that. I think that this is the most casual excitement I've seen for Tekken when it comes to low level play ever. And it's because of the fact that the game is so easily designed around like big flashy mashing things that come out when you do heat, when you do power crushes, the throws, the visceralness of like an unbreakable throw because someone did, you know, a launcher that was like minus 14 and you throw it and they can't break it. And you're like, what? But they always broke my throws in 7. What? You can actually punish counter people now with throws, which is really cool. Overall, do I like the defensive mechanics, right? When I talk about defensive mechanics, I mean not including movement, right? So I mean rage art, heat, is it heat burst? The main one, heat burst, power crushes. Do I like these options? For the most part, yes. Okay. So there is an issue I have with them where it doesn't really ever tell you that the armor on a power crush, a heat burst, and a rage arc is not frame 1 activation. It doesn't tell you anywhere, right? I've had friends go through Arcade Quest and I asked them like, hey, does it mention, like, does Max, your little guy, does he ever say, watch out with Rage Arts. It takes a little bit for them to start up. He never tells you, right? That's one thing that never really gets mentioned, is that you're not able to just use it on reaction to a big button without sometimes getting smacked. Like, you have to catch it very early in the button. I don't mean smacked as in, like, you get hit and then you armor. I mean, sometimes you get hit and you don't armor. And the Rage Art doesn't start. Or the Power Crush doesn't start, right? And these situations generally happen, you know, it's something that happens off of, like, a heat burst activation or a heat engager activation, right? That amount of plus frames. That amount of plus frames is not manufactured when it comes to reaction time and neutral, right? It's something that can just happen, something that we're not always accustomed to. And that happens so frequently when it comes to all three of the defensive mechanics, right? The heat burst, I think that's what that one's called, pardon me. The Rage Art and Power Crush, all three of these things do have that little bit of startup that they just don't mention. I wish they did. I don't mind the startup, right? Once you get the feel of it, once you understand it, just like a Mortal Kombat 11 Fatal Blow, right? Once you understand it, once you get used to it, it's not so bad. It's just different. It's not something that I'm used to seeing from Tekken 7, right? This is, in a sense, a new game. So it's okay that they're creating things to, like, make the features feel more diverse and different from 7, right? Stages. In combat, they have now made this, I think they tried to make Tekken 8 the most distilled version of every single 3D fighting game. Like a celebration of 3D fighters, right? They have a lot of Soul Calibur-isms, a lot of Soul Calibur-esque things in this game. If you guys haven't noticed, a lot of Yoshimitsu's moves, some of Victor's things really remind Soul Calibur players of Soul Calibur, apparently, right? I don't play any Victor. The only thing I see is Grows of Indure. That's what I see. I don't really see much of anything else. People even say the same about a couple of buttons on some of the regular fighters, right? Like, they just have the same arc and the same, like, frames on hit and force crouch. It's situations that would exist in something like a Soul Calibur, which is cool. They have stages now that remind you a lot of DOA. I don't mean that they're, like, real wacky and sometimes you get run over by dinosaurs. I mean, they have, like, wall bounds, where if you get hit on that wall and wall spread on it, it pops you up for a combo in the opposite direction, takes you off the wall, which is something that existed for a long time in DOA, right? So if you've never played a DOA game and you really like those mechanics, go try DOA 6, right? I mean, maybe it's dead, but go try Dead, literally, or Alive 6. And they also have just as many wall breaks and floor breaks as they did in Tekken 7, which is cool. I like the stage list. I'm glad there's really no infinite stage, which some people I'm not a fan of walls, to be fair, personally, but I understand that people just backdashing really ruins the offensive flow of this game. They're like, we want this game to be offensive. We want this game to be all offense. We want this game to be gas. And an infinite stage would really ruin a lot of that. I think that they could probably design one infinite stage or something, or maybe make a mechanic that rewards being aggressive and demotes you if you're being defensive, right? Like, takes away your heat. You don't get heat if you backdash too many times in a round or something. You have to, like, pop heat. And if you pop heat early, then boom, now you can start running away. But you have to use that heat up first before you get defensive. I don't know. I'm not entirely sure what they could do. Or maybe backdashing starts taking away your white life. Something. I'm not entirely sure. But the idea of a Tekken game not having infinite stage is a little strange. It feels a little odd. Just a bit. But I don't mind it. I like it. I think the vast majority of the stages are really cool. Only two stages I don't really like, and one is for performance reasons. The other is it's basically just Howard Estate on both sides, which is Reina's stage. Fuck that stage. They literally just said, oh, you guys didn't like Howard Estate? We're gonna double down, bitch. And they made it both ways. Ouch. That's fucked up. Characters. Roster. Dude. But this game's still missing a lot of Tekken legacy characters, right? We have Eddie Gordo coming on the way. Bruce still isn't here. Armor King. We don't really need Bayek because we have Hwarong. how many other legacy characters are really missing? Right? There's some Tekken 7 staples missing. Some Tekken 7 characters missing. There's no Lucky Chloe, there's no Lydia, there's no Fakuram. A lot of them didn't make it back. Sorry. But for the game, missing some of the legacy characters, some of the staples. Julia, no Julia, right? No Ganryu. It still feels like an extremely complete roster. This feels like one of the best Tekken launch rosters I've ever seen. I don't think there is a better Tekken launch roster, actually. Let me be real. Let me be quite honest. There has not been a better Tekken launch roster than this one. Right, a bunch of familiar faces, a few new faces that are actually really cool. Right, a replacement for Heihachi, one of them. Jun is essentially a brand new character, let's be honest. Right, may as well be. And then Victor Chevalier, Victor something fucking French. Something fucking French. Great roster. Luckily for me, I had 2 characters out of the gate. Only ended up playing one of them, right? My initial thoughts. We can move into online. My initial thought. 10 out of 10 fucking roster. 9 out of 10 fucking roster. No Bruce. My initial thought was that I was going to play Leroy. I played a little bit of Leroy day 1. Wasn't really feeling it. I was like, man, like Leroy just doesn't feel like it. So I swapped over to Raven, where I had so much more fun. Right? The Master's Paradise of Tekken 8 really felt like it was meant for a character like Raven. Leroy has way more structured offense. You have to be more neutral focused. You have to play with your big buttons, right? You can't really be a string-based offense player. Generally, when it comes to Leroy, once you get past a certain rank, because people understand Leroy strings, right? He's a very strong character, always has been. So he was a very strong character in 7, and because of that, people already kind of understand how to dismantle him, at least when it comes to the front of his strings. So, swapped over to Raven, and I had a lot more fun. I got to mash around more, got to press a lot more buttons, got to understand more stances, right? Soul Zone, back turn, which is really cool. And now, I'm at a point where I'm in red ranks, which is really cool. I'm basically at the same rank I ended my Tekken 7 rank with, which is cool. That's neat. But I've noticed something. I am already getting less frequent matches. And when I do get matches, I've gotten matches all the way down to yellow ranks and all the way up to purple ranks. So the matchmaking queue, we'll talk about matchmaking before we talk about actual online. The matchmaking queue is huge, right? The pool is big. I don't know if it's region locked, right? I'm not entirely sure. But I can tell you that if you're not finding matches within your exact character rank, right, within your exact Kiryu, Shinryu, or Tenryu, whatever it is, they will try to match you as close as possible, up or down. It looks like up to 5 ranks. 5 ranks, right? So if you're in the very beginning of red, you might end up fighting a green. You might end up fighting a yellow. You might end up fighting a purple. I haven't seen a blue yet, like a Fujin or whatever the blue ranks are called. I haven't seen those. But that's a little odd. It feels very Soul Calibur-ish, right? Because the queue times are just taking so long already that they're giving me at least matches of all different skill levels, right? I'm kind of getting bounced around. I'm not really getting a skill-based matchmaking experience. Whenever I fight oranges and yellows, for the most part, most of the oranges and yellows I play, I just beat the shit out of them. And then purples and reds, I actually have to like sit down and like understand what they're trying to do on defense, mantle it, move to the next layer, add something else on top, like making a cake. I don't really have to do that very frequently with the yellows and oranges. Oranges and yellows are fighting for their fucking life because they don't understand the game yet. Neither do I. Fair enough. So it's a very interesting matchmaking experience. That experience may vary, right? There might live in a region where there's just not enough players or something. I'm not entirely sure. But what I can tell you is Ortiz Farm, for some reason, I don't know if it makes my computer explode or if it makes someone else's do. I'm currently playing Tekken on like medium settings, PSR 100% scaling, on an RTX 4050 and an i5 12450H laptop. Okay, I'm on a laptop. But when I look at my FPS, it says 60. when I look at the screen, it doesn't always feel that way. Like, it doesn't... Matches on RT's farm, generally, don't feel like they're chugging due to online. They feel like they're dropping frames. Like I'm not even getting close to 60 sometimes. It feels like 40 frames, 55 frames at best, which is not good. That's weird. They might want to look into like maybe the visual effects on some of the stages and how they interact with other people's hardware, right? Maybe RAM capacity, number of cores and threads, right? Amount of VRAM, anything. Because some people don't understand that they have to turn settings down. I'm going to be honest with you. Some people don't get that. They take the recommended and they stick with the recommended. It recommended me Ultra with DLSS, with FSR 1.0 at like 91% scaling. So like I lost like 9% of pixels or something, and it put everything at Ultra. I tried that shit, and there was frame drops galore. Okay, Ben and Namco does not always know exactly what they're doing when it comes to scaling on your system. Try some settings out. Don't believe Bamco. And it's not that I don't want to believe Bamco, but I just, in my personal experience, they already fucked up on me. I'm not messing with it, right? So I looked at the settings from Ultra to medium high mix with TSR. And TSR 100% scaling actually worked out a lot better. Yeah, something is wrong with some of the stages. It just caused some extra lag, right? Some of the stage transitions, but that's no biggie. Stage transitions, at least there's nothing going on. Not a super big deal. But I have had desyncs, where sometimes my game freezes for a long time. When I get back, I'm being comboed or I'm blocking something, or which would be more like a one-sided rollback, a really bad one-sided rollback, right? Because my game just completely froze. Or we're both in the exact same position, right? Like we were mid-swing, one of us was like doing a punch or something, and it just freezes during the punch. That is not really indicative of rollback netcode. That's generally more, except the one where I'm back and I'm blocking something or getting comboed. And I have a report of my friend Eric. He said the same thing. We were playing, and he said he blocked something at the wall. Next thing he knew, he was launched in the air, and he was being comboed. And I was like, that happened on your stream. And I went back and looked, and on my screen, because I was playing him, that didn't happen. But on his screen, it did. So very strange. So it looks like we have one-sided rollbacks, but we also have giant fucking delays sometimes, too. It's very strange. So I'm not entirely sure what kind of amalgamation of a netcode this is, but it doesn't always feel great. It feels better than 7 for the most part. But there are definitely still some issues. And I don't know if I can recommend this game to someone who's like, yeah, I want a game with solid online play. Look, if you're playing your neighbor down the street, yeah, it's probably fucking solid. You play anybody else? Don't play nobody else. Probably not solid. You might have some issues. You can ask everyone. I recently watched Eris blow up on stream and say, God, online fucking sucks. Doesn't matter how much better netcode gets for the rest of the games out there, this Tekken shit always sucks. Just for online, right? Eris loves Tekken. Does he love Tekken online? Boy, oh boy, no he doesn't. I don't think most of us do. We really wanted a really solid, comparable online experience to things like Guilty Gear Strive, Street Fighter 6, Melty Blood type Luminous, Halo when it works. We wanted that rollback online experience. We didn't want to hear the excuse of 3D fighters aren't built for rollback. That's a lie. That's bullshit. Don't lie to us. Just put in the work to make something great. And I don't think they did. If I'm honest with you, I don't think they did. This feels like a souped up version of Tekken 7's netcode. There, I said it. Because if I'm watching the screen, teleport all over the place, and you tell me I have one rollback frame, your rollback value is lying to me. So I do see teleports sometimes. So this is some weird amalgamation of rollback netcode mixed with delay-based. But the delay-based netcode still feels significantly heavier than the rollback. And the bigger issue is, it also doesn't tell me when my delay frames are super high. I'll look at my delay frames, it'll say 2, and I feel like I'm playing underwater. Now that only happens when I accept matches that I shouldn't be accepting. I know. But I do it for the sake of testing the netcode. I want to stress the netcode and see what it's capable of, and it doesn't feel like it's capable of much of anything, which isn't good. The bright side, there's a lot of other things to do in the game. If you're a more casual Tekken fan, there is Tekken Ball, which is back, which is cool. I hope they also bring back Tekken Bowl. That'd be cool to have both in the same game. We also have a really like a big, like full featured story mode. It's like an NRS styled story, which is really cool. It's like a 3.5, 4 hours, I've been told, right? If you actually take your time with it. That's very neat. And it's like the end of the Kazuya Jin Heihachi bloodline feud or something, right? And we find out more about the mysterious Reina for anyone who's curious. Go ahead and play through the story mode. And we also have the arcade quest story. You have to play slightly through that to unlock Super Ghost Battle, which is I still haven't unlocked because I haven't touched Arcade Quest, but I probably should at some point. Arcade Quest is like the more world tour like story mode, right? You fight against people in the arcade, and you build up your reputation, and basically go on to win the Tekken World Tour or something. I don't know. I didn't play it, but it's pretty cool that they have two separate story modes and at least some casual fighting modes, right? They may not have any of the wacky stuff that Street Fighter 6 has, but they at least have Tekken Ball, which, I mean, is a nice little fun distraction mode for a little bit. I don't know if it'll last as long as something like, you know, the plethora of modes that exist in Street Fighter 6. So hopefully they add more. It'd be cool to see. I have mixed feelings on Tekken 8. I like the game flow at low level. I still don't really like safe movement. It's just it's a preference thing. I don't like safe movement in my 3D fighters. I come from Soul Calibur 6, Soul Calibur 5, Soul Calibur 4, and 3, where all of the movement was unsafe. Movement was a risk that you took, and when you took it, you got big reward, which was good. I like that. You were rewarded for your good play, and you took punishment when you were wrong. You can't really take punishment in Tekken when you're moving well, but once you understand the peepees of Tekken movement, you can no longer be punished, and that's one of the things that I'll never really like about Tekken. I can't get over it. Sorry, but I'll still keep playing through it, right? I like the flow of combat for the most part, right? Other than having to chase people down that are really good at Tekken. I kind of just try to get a lead and then let those people just backdash 500 times. I'm not shitting you. I had that happen. I played a red rank who I got a lead versus them, and then they did this. And I was just standing there. I was this. And I was like, what are you doing, man? I have a lead. I don't have to press a button. I'm not gonna like whiff so you can like launch me. They were playing right now. I'm not gonna whiff so you can launch me with a fucking electric. I'm not dumb. I'm just gonna sit here. I won that game and I did not rematch them. I'm not gonna lie to you. That shit was really not fun. That, at some point, for casual players, if they run into those players a lot, they do one of two things. They say, this game isn't fun, I don't want to do that, and I don't like that, I'm putting this game down. Or, they go, oh, that's really fucking tight. How do I do that? Those are the two things you get. Unfortunately, you don't get that from me because I played other 3D fighters where movement's unsafe. So instead of wanting to be the cheapies and figure out how to do the safe movement, I just want to avoid it. I'm like, no, I don't like safe movement. I'd rather movement be a risk, just like everything else in a fighting game. There's not enough risk in Tekken. I think they tried to make the game feel like there's more risk by adding so much more offensive capabilities. But we've already seen at higher levels of play that people still want to play defensive because they understand how strong the offense can be. How much weaker the backdashes have become, how much weaker the side steps have become. So they want to make sure that they're still reined in on their offense and don't go too ham. Because once you take one of those big risks, you take big punishment. I like Tekken 8. Pretty fun. I'm mixed on it. I like it overall. I think it's fun. If you like the idea of learning a 3D fighter, there's a lot of cool characters in this game. If you don't really like the idea of learning a 3D fighter, but you just want to mash around and you got the $70 to spare, get in now. I think that this is the best time to get into a fighting game, is in the very beginning, because people all suck, right? You're either going to be playing against people who play a bunch of Tekken 7 and they're really good, and you're going to eventually avoid those people, or you're going to play against scrubs like everyone else and me, and you're going to have a blast, at least until you get up to a certain rank and start dealing with real Tekken players. And that's where you have to decide if you're backing out or if you're going to try to learn how to play like them. Anyways, this has been Tekken 8 Real Talk, Tekken 8 Review, Tekken 8 something. I talked about Tekken 8, ranted a little too. Genie Thuggish, hit the subscribe button, the like button. Comment down below about how you feel about Tekken 8. Have you gotten to pick it up yet? Are you still looking around? You still trying to decide if you want to get it? Do you have it? Are you a big Tekken head? Are you new to Tekken and you're like, oh my god, this shit is making me want to blow my brains out? I can't do this. This game's too hard for me. Too many buttons. There's 170 moves per character. Or you're just mashing around and having a good time. Anyways, this has been Beanie Thuggish for the YouTube, signing out and saying peace.